I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. The board invites the audience to join the board in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We do have a few announcements. We ask everyone to turn their cell phones off or put them on vibrate. The board meetings are broadcasted live over Comcast Channel 28 and Verizon Fios Channel 32 and are live streamed on our district website, as well as recorded for future broadcasting. You want to recognize? You want me? At this time, I'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Lee, our Superintendent of Schools.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam President, and welcome all. It's my privilege and pleasure to recognize our 2021 Pennsylvania Junior Academy of Science competition honorees and first place, second place, special awards, state perseverance, regional perseverance awards, and both from our high school and our middle schools. This group of kids, as they always do, performed admirably and stood out amongst competitors from across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're awful proud. We are a lot of things here in Bensalem, but we are known and recognized as a science district, and in part because of the performance of these young scientists and scholars year in and year out. So congratulations, PJAS. Also, to be honored, recognized, and congratulated are artists throughout the district. Their work is here in this room on display for all to enjoy and appreciate. We thank these talented students and their art teachers for their contributions. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I've been reminded by our president that I try not to think about it. That's why I had to be reminded. We are losing two valued colleagues here. They've opted to advance their careers in other places. Jay Bowman, thank you for your service and everything you do. I mentioned that we're a science district. He's one of the reasons why. Thanks. And of course, our HR director, Felicity Hanks, is also parting company from us. She has done a remarkable job in the most challenging times in I'm going to say, public education, period. She kept us, keep us safe, keep us working, and then got us vaccinated. So thank you. We will miss you both.
I just want to add to that, I can't thank the both of you for everything that you've done for us. I'm sad that you're leaving us, but I understand that you're moving on with your careers. So thank you so much for all your dedication and hard work to Bensalem. It's greatly appreciated.
Ms. Rivera, can we ask them to keep in touch?
They'll keep in touch. We'll keep in touch with them. They're on speed dial. At this time, again, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Lee for our monthly highlights.
Thank you, Madam President. On June 17th, under a beautiful blue sky, 433 graduates in the Ben Salem High School class of 2021 received their diplomas during the 97th annual commencement ceremony. The class will begin to write new chapters of their lives as they enter universities and colleges across the United States, including Princeton, Tufts, Drexel, Penn State, Temple, just to name a few. Speakers included high school principal Bill Ferreira, myself, valedictorian Breanne Walsh, salutatorian Dhruvi Patel, and class officers Ali Black, Kelly Ho, Emma Listraco, Shannon McMillan, and Pooja Saha. We wish all our graduates well in their future endeavors and know they will continue to demonstrate the pride, tradition, and spirit of being a Ben Salem Al. And as mentioned earlier and recognized, some photos of our scientists and scholars during competition and preparation for the competition. I should add that earned significant scholarships. So this again, I can't tell you how proud we are of this program. I am. Oh, well, thank you. How's that? Okay, thank you. You're welcome. And some more about our PJAS state participants. And it's no secret that we've had an incredibly challenging year on all fronts. I mentioned it earlier. Our kids, our community, our staff, our board did nothing short of a remarkable job to get us across the finish line through this 180-day stretch that was unlike any other I've experienced in my professional career and even lifetime. But know that the resilience, the perseverance, talent, skill of all involved got us to Schaefer 8th grade promotion. The high school you saw, Snyder graduated as well in the stadium, and beautiful, incredibly wonderful days and ceremonies. Belmont Hills end of the year activities. Cornwell's 5th grade DARE finale. Faust's 6th grade celebration. The Rush 6th grade send off. And you can see in the bottom right, it's from their respective elementary schools traditionally return on graduation day to receive congratulations and wish their fellow, in this case, Roadrunners, best wishes. Struble end of year activities, you can see at the bottom the high school students and graduates returning. Valley sixth grade promotion lunch. Just really happy they didn't invite me to participate in the dunk tank this year.
Could have been a fundraiser.
Yes. Well, some of those Valley kids can throw. And last but not least for my report, I do have one more thing. Please accept our wishes for a wonderful, safe summer. We'll be back together again on August 30th for the first day of students in 2nd through 6th, 8th and 10th through 12th, and August 31st for first kindergarten, 1st, 7th, and 8th, our transition grades, and September 1st, we're all back together. And I just want to share a little bit of information about the Schaefer Pool. Thank you on behalf of all of us to those who have submitted public comment electronically regarding the Schaefer Pool, and those who have come here to speak in regard to the Schaefer Pool. For the board's consideration this evening is a directive to administration to obtain mechanical, electrical, and plumbing design and construction management proposals for pool repairs and refurbishment. This represents a step in a long process to possibly reopen the pool. This does not commit the district to closing the pool. In fact, it is a step in the opposite direction. We understand and are sensitive to the swimming community and ask for continued patience to be exercised as we navigate this process and simultaneously connect the process, to our long-term capital needs and plan and the associated fiduciary responsibilities of the school district. That's all I have for you this evening, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Dr. Lee, on that regard, are you going to make, we had talked about kind of elaborating a bit on what you just said and what that means. I was trying to follow the long-term needs of the district or something.
The capital needs and
Yes.
plan and
Yes, that's a little
physical
vague.
plant footprint.
Yes.
Well, there is some consideration to modifying or updating our middle schools, which does include Schaefer, which may include refurbishment, renovation of the pool, or a new pool. We don't know. These conversations are in the conceptual phase. They're predicated on providing the best possible environment for the 1,500 or so middle school students we serve all day, every day here in Bensalem Township School District. Now, you may ask 1,500, where's that come from? Currently, we have approximately 1,000 middle schools spread across 2 buildings, middle school students. We also have an additional 500 sixth graders in the district, which educationally makes more sense for them to be in a middle school environment, academically, socially, emotionally. So all of that is connected to that particular pool that some of us are gathered here to discuss.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstentions? At this time, we're going to move into public comment. There will be only one public comment tonight. I am taking public comment cards. If you emailed a public comment in, that will be in the records of the meeting tonight, and the board will read those comments as emails coming into us. We all get them. We ask for 3 minutes. We'll give you 3 minutes to speak. There's a clock behind us. When the 3 minutes stop, the microphone will shut down. We will have public comment for 1 hour. And if you're in a large group, we ask that you pick one person. If you're speaking about the same thing, we ask that you pick one person to be the spokesperson. If you are not a Bensalem resident, but are connected to a group that's speaking tonight, we'll permit you to speak. So at this time, we will start public comment. I can't guarantee I'll be pronouncing everyone's last name correctly, so bear with me. We'll call you up one at a time with all the public comment cards I have here. We ask you to be respectful of the other person speaking. When you come to the microphone, we ask that you state your name and address for us. Mrs. Miller?
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to address the school board. I am a tax-paying citizen of the Ben Salem School District. Considering the fact that the school board positions are elected, that also makes me a constituent, one who authorizes another to act as their agent. We, the citizens of Ben Salem, who elected you to act as our agent, are not being adequately represented at this time with regard to our children's education. The health and safety plan adopted by the Ben Salem School Board has not been updated in the last 6 months. The template in the board site is dated August 2020. However, I believe it was updated in November of 2020, but not since then. I would like to read some excerpts from the Pennsylvania Department of Education website. The health and safety plan should be tailored to the unique needs of each local education agency, or LEA, and its schools, and must take into account public comment related to the development of and subsequent revisions to the health and safety plan. The American Rescue Plan, the ARP Act, requires LEAs to post their health and safety plans online in a language that parents and caregivers can understand. The ARP Act requires LEAs to review their health and safety plan at least every 6 months during the period of the LEA's ARP ESSER grant, which is the money that you will be getting from the state. LEAs must also review and update their plans whenever there are significant changes to the CDC recommendations for K through 12 schools. Like the development of the plan, all revisions must be informed by community input and reviewed and approved by the governing body prior to posting on the LEA's publicly available website. An LEA may use a different plan template or format provided it includes all the elements required by the ARP Act as listed above. The Bucks County Department of Health, which was updated daily today, says currently in Bucks County, from an epidemiological standpoint, there is no longer a need for masking mandate in any group, regardless of age or vaccination status. Over the last 7 days, case counts average approximately 15 per day in our population, with an average of only 2 per day under the age of 18. These are the lowest levels since tracking began. From this point forward, especially on 6/28 or after, any facility under the department jurisdiction, including camps, pools, etc., that require masks are doing so solely at their own discretion. Dr. Damsker has recommended that children do not need to wear masks in school. As you prepare the health and safety plan for the next 2021-2022 school year, I authorize you as a constituent to include in said plan 5-day in-person instruction for grades K through 12, remove the mask mandate, and furthermore, the health and safety mentioned COVID vaccine requirements.
The next public comment is Tom Scoffling. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm sorry.
Second time.
Sorry about that.
Second time somebody's called me Tom today.
Well, I guess we have to change your name, right?
And it says Coach Tim. Hi, I'm the coach for St. Charles St. Ephraim swim team. We are swimming's version of the CYO. I have 65 kids on my team. 62 of those kids come from Ben Salem residents. So basically, my families pay taxes, Ben Salem taxes, and we also pay you rent for the pool on top of that. I am the one swim program between swim lessons and the high school swim team. So I am a feeder team for your high school team. In fact, one of my kids is here, and she did put in a card, so she's going to talk. She was on my team. She's going to be a freshman at Ben Salem High School this coming year. My own son was a freshman at Ben Salem High School, and I've been not a lifetime. Me and my wife got married in '94, and we moved to Ben Salem. So I've been in Ben Salem since '94. We are a Ben Salem team. We are a Ben Salem community swim team. You guys did a great job of building that pool, although we all know the engineer or whoever put in the wrong piping messed up. But that pool is very nice. You did a very good job of hiring a swim coach for your Ben Salem swim team. I know Ray Kuhn very well. I can't believe that at any point in time when you did both of those things that you thought you would narrow it down to only one pool. This township needs 2 pools to do all the aquatic programs you have, to service all the programs, which I know you got comments about, and everything else. You need 2 pools, or you just wouldn't be servicing your constituents. What else did I want to talk about? Another reason why you need 2 pools is over the years that I've been coaching now for I think 7 or 8 years. Many times one of the pools would go down. You need 2 pools just so, if one of the pools goes down right in the middle of the high school swim season, what's Ray going to do if you don't have another pool for him to go to? That's just another reason why you need 2 pools in this township. So I'm asking you, please, to whatever you want to do, whether you want to fix Schaefer, which I think is the proper thing to do, or if you want to build another pool, but I really think you should fix Schaefer and have the 2 pools in the Ben Salem Township. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jamie Devery.
Do we need that? I mean, is there any way to not have that noise? Or is it just does it no matter what? No.
Hi, I'm Jamie Devery. I live at 1614 Horace Court. I wanted to address some comments made at last month's board meeting by several board members. Mrs. Nicholas, your comment regarding Mrs. Ferranda's statement about the school district needing to pay paraeducators a fair living wage was condescending and disrespectful to the men and women serving our students. Your tone and comment, well, you better figure out what pot you're going to take it from, imply that if the district paid paraeducators fair wages, they would be pilfering from other programs and resources. Yet when Dr. Lee, Mr. Steffi, and other employees higher up in the school district were up for their raises, not one argument was made about where the money would come from to increase their 6-figure salaries. Mr. Price, your comment about the paraeducators union needing to negotiate better was a bit unfair, considering throughout this year and past years, this school district has threatened to outsource paraeducators, raise their medical insurance premiums, and also stated if paraeducators were not happy with their salary, they can go elsewhere. Know that my salary last year was $19,000 for a full-time professional position. I know for a fact the union asked for one more paid holiday, Memorial Day. The counteroffer was to lose being paid for President's Day, and they would give us Black Friday. We asked for Memorial Day during the last 3 contract negotiations and have been told no each time. And just to be clear, paraeducators are not paid for 17 of the 21 celebrated holidays: Memorial Day, Jewish holidays, Election Day, 7 of the 10 days of winter break, 4 of the 5 days of spring break, and Labor Day all depends on the school start date, which the majority of the district employees are paid for. Being a paraeducator is a full-time professional position, yet people refer to paraeducators as just aides. Paraeducators are an essential part of a student's IEP. Paraeducators are compassionate, understanding, patient, resourceful people who care about the students they work with every day. Start addressing them by their professional title, paraeducators. Give them the respect they deserve. These are the people who work with our most vulnerable and needy students, students who need consistency, routine, and people they can trust. These are the people they need to build bonds with in order for them to achieve success. Every professional development training I have ever attended stresses this very importance. Yet the district, as I said before, threatens outsourcing, especially near the start of contract negotiation. So when you speak about paraeducators union to negotiate better, please make sure you include denouncing the district's negotiation tactics. Mrs. Fingal stated that paraeducator industry needed to get itself together, but in reality, the school districts and the public education system across this country need to understand the importance, value, and worth of paraeducators and get themselves together. Because the bottom line is, without paraeducators, you cannot open your schools. And I mean no disrespect. I know her comments were in support of paraeducators. However, without change within school districts themselves and the education system on how they view paraeducators as less than, paraeducators will.
Mrs. Flynn, and I'm going to again remind everyone that we have 3 minutes to speak. That's what the dinging is that you're hearing. The microphone does shut down.
My name is Samantha Flynn, and I live at Dartmouth Court. I am a freshman at BHS, and I do plan on attending the Schaefer School swim team. I am also a member of the St. Charles Borromeo swim team and have been swimming my entire life. Most of my swimming has been at Schaefer. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I would put on my Nike slides and laugh with my friends during energizing practices. I would compete at swim meets also at Schaefer on Saturdays. There is no doubt that if I had not joined the swim team and jumped in that freezing water, I would not be where I am now. I learned teamwork, leadership, and how not to drown. I worry if the Schaefer pool shuts down, kids like me won't have an opportunity to grow more confident and make new friends. I also worry that if the Schaefer pool does not open again, there will be consequences other than the swim team. The swim lessons that are there now are taking up more time than the swim team can take as well. So we won't have a team anymore for St. Charles. Thank you.
Mr. Kelly?
Bill Kelly, Parkview Drive. I've lived here 55 years. I went to Ben Sam schools. I went to St. Charles, went to Snyder. I went to the high school. When I went to the high school, I graduated late 70s. We had top-notch stuff back then. You know, when we had our stadium built, the track and everything, it was gorgeous. We had all the Nautilus machines in the gyms. And, like, where'd all this money go? I mean, why do we have no money to fix stuff? I don't get it. We must have saved quite a bit of money with the pandemic, buses not running, things like that, water, electric in the schools. You know, this track, it's beautiful, but it's got a wall that sticks out around the curve. How are you going to have a meet with a wall sticking out like that? A 5-year-old pool that needs God knows how much money to fix. That's a joke. Who designed this stuff? Does nobody check on, you know, when things are being built? It's just crazy, it is. And my kids, they've graduated. I went to the high school for the back to school nights. Like I said, I graduated in the late 70s. Back in 2010, whatever it was, it still looked like 1980 in those schools. Granted, it's all been redone and stuff. It took forever. Where was the money being spent? Not on that. My daughter played softball at Snyder. They had to bring out folding chairs. They didn't even have a bench out there for the field. The field was a disgrace with rocks and stones. Okay, that's just the point. It's like, where's all this stuff go? I don't know, but I want this pool opened at Schaefer. I enjoy swimming there. My kids have taken lessons there. They are fantastic swimmers, and I really think it's great for the community. We all need the pools open, whether it's high school and Schaefer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anne Marie Jaskell?
Good evening. My name is Anne Marie Jaskell, and I live on Corey Avenue in Ben Salem. I would like to thank the president of the school board and other school board members and Dr. Lee for taking time to listen to my concerns and questions. The Schaefer Pool has been a valuable asset to our Benson community for many years. It provides essential aquatic programs to our children, senior citizens in our township. I believe it would be short-sighted to close this pool. It provides services and instructions such as for water babies, swim lessons, lifeguard training, community open swim, team facilities for the fall, winter, and summer programs, plus senior swim programs and open community swim opportunities. I reviewed briefly the ICS Consulting Inc. Proposal about the pools and what is needed, and I just had some questions regarding, and maybe the school board can follow up on this, is that I see that we have an assistant facilities operations manager for the school district. I have a question. Do we have a manager of the facilities, like a senior manager that overlooks these facilities and these contracts? Can anybody answer that?
We do.
We do? Okay, because I was looking on your website and I didn't see anyone listed. That's why I was just questioning it. Okay, because of the problems that we had with the track, with the pool, and with the high school pool, as a prior gentleman mentioned, I just wonder how these things get approved, how they're inspected, how they're maintained, that we end up where we are at the present time regarding the facilities. And I understand the school board, you do a good job and you're representing us as a community, but these are the questions that I think that should be followed up by the school board members to track, how these things, happened and have been going on for the last several years. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Joyce Hurst?
I'm Joyce Hurst from Newmarket Square South. Is it possible for me to secede my 3 minutes to John Polidoro since he submitted a card but it wasn't received?
Do have Mr. Palladoro's card.
Oh, you do? Okay, he was told you didn't. Okay, so I
I
will.
do. I accepted them.
Okay,
The
so,
last two I accepted.
oh, all right. So I just wanted to just give a story that relates to swim. My kids swam for St. Charles from the time they were 4 years old till they were completed their freshman year in high school. My son was actually the head girls coach at Ben Salem High School for a couple of years until he got another teaching position that he couldn't come here. But one of the stories I wanted to relate to you was my son just had an interview with the school district and was offered a full-time position. One of the questions they asked him was, I see on your resume that you were a swim coach. Would you consider being an assistant swim coach at our high school? And my son's answer was, being a swim coach is what interested me in teaching. So I think from a parent, I was very proud of that. The fact that my son was on a track to be a salesperson and came home one day and was ready to take a job the next day and said, I can't do this. I hate that. I said, well, what do you want to do? He says, I want to teach. And from then on, he went to school, got his master's degree, is now a teacher, will be a high school teacher next year for gifted students. And all the while, he was coaching BAC, was coaching Ben Salem High School, was an assistant coach at St. Charles while he was in high school. So I just encourage you to keep the pools open. It allowed my kids, both my kids went to high school, went on the swim teams, both went to states. So it just taught them so much. It taught them responsibility. It taught them time management. They did excellent in school because they had to manage their time for swim practice, which was 2 to 3 hours a night, and then study. They both were on the National Honor Society. So all I can say to you is it was a very good experience for me, for my children, and I hope that other children in the future would experience the same thing that my kids did. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly McCarthy?
I have two requests. Since I'm a Ben Salem School District employee, I would like to go last to address any board member questions about the pool or anything like that. Would that be possible?
No, you
And
just,
so I can get my parents out of here?
just make your public comment in the order you're called up, so.
Oh, okay. And then my next request is, since we've waited 17 months for this to be talked about, can I submit 3 more public comments, please?
Public comment is only an hour, and I took the last 2. We closed public comment when the meeting started. Unfortunately, I have to stick to the rules. They can email the board. They're
the
more than
public
welcome
comment
to.
form, it didn't work for the last
I'm
day.
sorry?
The public comment form wasn't up the last day, so they had a problem with it.
But they could probably email currently.
I tried getting on it this morning and was unable to. I emailed the school district, and I'm just asking, please. We've been waiting 17 months. Can we just add 3 more people?
Is it a rule? Is it a rule that public comment is only an hour? I've sat at many a board meeting when it's been longer than that. Where is that?
Well, it's
You know, it's a reasonable time, and a reasonable time is certainly.
But where
an
is
hour.
it a rule?
So the rule is that public comment is a reasonable time. If it goes beyond that, we can push additional public comment to the next regular meeting.
Mr. Muzo, I know you're new joining us, but I know my colleagues know we have sat many a time far longer than an hour. I don't recall us writing down anywhere a rule, which is the word that's being used, that it's an hour.
An hour is a reasonable limit for public
Where
comment.
is that written down?
It's generally known. So tonight
Well,
we're going to limit
but
it
that's
to
not that's not our past practice.
My past practice is a labor law concept, and so
Mr. Amuzo, thank you for tutoring me on legal matters. I welcome you. I'm glad you're here with us, but this board does not have the habit. We can use that. We don't have the method. It's just not what Ben Salem does. We listen when our constituents come to us. Now, I don't want to sit here all night either, okay? That said, I do not believe we have a rule which says it's an hour. I'm not even sure where it's written that public comment must be reasonable, if that's the term of art.
Stephanie, we did put something into play at the beginning of this year when COVID hit, and it was posted on the public site for everybody to read. So we did agree as a board at the beginning of the year what we were going to do, and that was part of it.
We
And
had
you
a
were there for it.
discussion. We did not adopt anything that I'm aware of.
most certainly
If we
did.
Show it to me.
It's posted on the site that that's what we talked about. That's what we agreed to prior to the school year, what we were going to do moving forward.
To limit public comment to 1 hour?
Yes. And it
That
was,
was the written, when we were
and
reading.
you were
and
part
I-
of it.
Wait a minute.
And now you're saying something about it. So right now,
No, no,
public
no, no,
comment ends
no.
at 8:45, and you're cutting into it. So right now, you're cutting into the constituents' time.
Well, I can
to
go on
talk.
because I'm not part of public comment. We talked about 1 hour
part of public
to get
comment.
Mrs.
every minute we talk about this, we're
Mr.
limiting
Musso,
public
it's such a
comment.
pleasure to have you. Thank you. We put in that 1 hour rule to give poor Mrs. Harder a break for reading such long public comments during COVID.
Mrs. Ferrandis,
So I
can
think we should
please just
allow
hear
the
your
public to
voice
speak.
later and let the
I
public
know
be-
it's grating upon you, Mrs. Nicholas.
We should all be able to speak, but we need to speak here. Nobody should be denied. And nobody should be denied being able to speak to you guys. You don't return calls, you don't return emails. If this is our time, then this is our time. Yeah.
I'm asking for 9 minutes. 2 of them are school district employees. They have been for 5+ years. Can you give them 3
Ma'am, you
minutes,
have 3
please?
minutes of public comment. So if you want to make a public comment, you have 3 minutes.
I'm going to hand these to Mrs. Harder.
Okay, they're not going to be accepted. That's fine.
They can be accepted, Mr. Amuso. They can go into our record. Mr. Amuso, I think you need to know something about the board you're now serving.
All right, ma'am, do you have your public comment?
Let's have some order. Screaming and carrying on isn't going to get the problem resolved. Let's have some order here. Let our person speak. She has 3 minutes for public comment. Continue, ma'am.
Well, I'm here to address the big question of why swimming lessons can't be moved to the high school, and I have my list right here. So I want to ask, with a show of hands of the board, how many of you have children?
Ma'am, this is public comment. It's not question and answer with the board. So
It's
if you have
just
your
one
comment-
question, please. Just I want to know who has children
The
on the board.
board is not going to raise hands. You
Okay,
have
fine.
comment, make your
Cool.
comment.
Thank you. My next question is, would you want little kids mixed in with high school children in the locker rooms? Probably not. And that is my biggest issue of moving to the high school. Everyone's like, move your lessons, move your program to the high school. And that's what's going to happen if that happens in the fall. I think it's weird. And then there's other districts who are going to be there as well when meets happen. And it's not safe. So that's my biggest thing of keeping Schaefer open and so we don't move to the high school. My next thing is the office placement. The office at the high school is in the deep end. The one at the high school is in the shallow end. The one in Schaefer is in the deep end. I think it should be in the deep end because it's safer and we can keep an eye on the kids in the deep end. It's not smart to have it in the shallow end, which is where it is at the high school. And I really don't think I should share it because I have payroll information and things like that in there. Next, the lane lines. They take about a half hour to move in and out of the pool if you know what you're doing. I have 15-year-olds on my staff. They don't really know what they're doing. So it's a time constraint as well. Next, the temperature is too cold at the high school for my water babies. They're going to be blue, they're going to be shaking, and then the school district loses money because I can't have a water babies class. Next, the swim meets are going to go late, cutting into my swimming lessons time, and that just messes with all my parents' schedules as well. And finally, Northeast pays about $35,000 in rental fees to use the high school pool. They're going to be kicked out when I take their spot, and that's money lost as well. And that's pretty much it. Does the board have any questions for me? I've been with the program for 10 years, and I can answer anything if you have any concerns. No? Okay. Thank you.
Chris Gentile?
Hi, Chris Gentile. I live over in Saddlebrook Estates. Kind of talk about the pool. Seems like everybody else does, mostly. But I have 5 kids. They've all been taking swim lessons there for a while. Most of them went through water babies and have worked their way up. So I want to get them back in the pool because I'm taking the day off tomorrow to go to the beach, and I like the idea that they're not going to drown when they're in the water, and that sort of gives me some pause when I think they haven't been in swim lessons in a long time at this point. They're just not available. And partly that's COVID, but it's also the unavailability at this point of the pool. That's just sort of my personal appeal. Sort of a broader appeal, though, I think is this idea that just equity within the community. Some people can afford to have a pool in their backyard. That's fantastic. Some people can afford private lessons. They can afford to go over to LA Fitness and use the British Swim School over there. It's expensive. I looked into it. Believe me, like I said, I really want my kids to have swim lessons. Having 2 pools, having one at Schaefer, having the ability for children in this town to just have access to a pool to learn how to swim, it's really important. And if you take that away, you're going to have some people more affected than others. Those are going to be the ones that can't afford a pool, don't have access to a pool, and they're going to grow up, with a lot less experience around the water. And that's a real impact I think you should really consider. That sort of taking that away is really not fair, frankly. It's not sort of being equal to everybody. Just want to throw it out there. So I won't take everybody else's time, so I'll move along. But
Thank you. Adam Bucci?
How you doing? Adam Bucci, William Penn Drive, longtime 15-year resident of Ben Salem. And I'm here to talk about the pool as well. My children learned how to swim in that pool, which led to me putting a pool in my backyard, sorry. And believe it or not, I got 4 children. All 4 of them go to parochial schools. And, I spend quite a bit of money on school taxes in Ben Salem and still feel that, I have a need for my religious beliefs to send my children to another school. And I spent close to $28,000 next year for that education. But a big part of me is upset with the school board and what's going on with the Schaefer pool. My kids learned how to swim there. My in-laws use the pool. You know, for the seniors. I think it's important to have. They also swam for St. Charles as well on their swim team. And I think it's important not just for the kids, but for the seniors. I'm going to be in that. Unfortunately, I'm going to be there in about 10 years. So I'd like to see the township have 2 pools. I think it's really important. I've heard a lot of different things about what's going on with the pools. And, if you guys are going to have a subcommittee on the pool, I'd like to be a part of it. I built a couple pools, put one in my backyard. And, I'd love to see if there's a way that I can help. I was also on the board for swim club and like to do whatever I can to help the community. All right, that's all I have to say for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marie Myers?
Does it reset the clock? I won't take 3 minutes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Marie Myers, and I'm here just to, with many of the others, request that Schaefer stay open. I'm not a Ben Salem resident. I live in Lower Southampton, but my high school practices at Schaefer. But in addition to that, I just wanted to note also all the things that I want to validate all the things that some of the other individuals have said about swimming. I just wanted to note that swimming is a great sport, and when you can't make teams like football, track, or basketball, when you can't make those teams, when kids learn how to swim, they can make the swim team at any of the public schools, at your public school. And swimming is just a great exercise, and it brings great community events, and it brings people together. I sat here, and I didn't really know the people that were sitting around me, but I listened to some of their conversations, and we all had some things that were in common without even knowing each other, such as people in the swim community who have all swam at Schaefer, me being one of them. So I just want to emphasize how important swimming is to a school district and to the community. And thank you for letting us practice and being a part of it. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Daniela Tarasenko? How about Olena? No? Thank you, Jamie. Thank you. Thank you. Mackenzie Anderson and Stacy Monaco.
Do I have to hold a button or anything this time? Okay. Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Stacy Monaco. I live on Arcadia Court in Ben Salem. I'm actually not here about the pool. I'm here about the mask mandates still with our schools, the vaccines, and the critical race theory. I think it's a big problem moving forward. My kid has not been in school for the last year and a half. She's been learning on a Zoom. She was an all A, maybe 1B student, and now is barely passing. She had all C's this last marking period. Her grades have decreased tremendously. Yous are all sitting here right now not wearing a mask, but how come the mask mandates weren't lifted for the schools? Why are our schools still being mandated to wear masks? Why are these kids still being forced to wear masks? Like, actually, Dr. Lee, could you answer that?
Man,
Why?
this is not question and answer. Just make your comment.
I didn't ask you. I'm asking Dr. Lee because he doesn't return calls or emails.
This is not question and answer. Make your
I
comment.
don't care.
All right. You can
How
sit
about that?
down. You can sit down.
No, I can't.
You're being disorderly. You sit
No,
down
I'm
now.
asking Dr. Lee.
You're
Who
not
are
doing
you? I
this.
don't even know who you are.
Sit down, ma'am. You're finished. You're not going to yell at the superintendent.
This is my 3 minutes.
You are not going to yell at the
You're
superintendent.
interrupting my 3 minutes. You've interrupted interrupted everybody else here.
You're screaming at us. You're
Because
finished.
you're interrupting me and I'm trying to ask Dr.
Not
Lee a
question and answer. This is not question and
It is our
answer.
question and answer. You work for us.
This is not question and
You
answer.
work for us.
This is not question and answer.
Dr. Lee, could you please answer the question?
Ma'am, this is
How
not
come
question and
masks are
answer.
still being mandated on our children?
Ma'am, this is not
How
question and
come
answer.
masks are still being
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
this is not
ma'am.
question or answer. Please
Yell-
sit down. You are
yelling-
finished. You are finished.
I apologize, but
Ma'am,
Make your comments. We're here to listen to
To
you,
your
not to hear you
comments.
yell at us.
you're not
and-
listening to me.
Make your comments.
I am asking a question. I want to know why
This is
my
not
kid
question and
is
answer.
not learning in school, is not being educated.
Make your comments
I want
to
to
the
know
board.
if she can go into 6th grade this year and not be masked.
Miss Monaco, wait, let's chill a little bit,
Relax.
okay? I do want to wait, hold on. I'm going to agree with you on that
Yes,
one.
thank you.
But I want you to calm down, okay?
relax.
Okay,
We're
just-
here to listen to
I
what
do
you-
want to introduce, because he's new, Mr. Amuzo is our new solicitor. The solicitor is the school district's lawyer, the school board's lawyer. So I do want to let everyone know who he is. And one of the jobs of the solicitor is to talk and to give the school board guidance, okay? Now, I don't believe he's here to tell us what to do, and we'll have to have a philosophical discussion about that. But I did want to know, because I think a number of our community members don't know who you are, Mr. Amuzo, and that's, our solicitors sometimes help maintain order. Unfortunately, public comment, even though I would like it to go longer, it is true, it's not question and answer. So, well, actually, only me and my colleagues hate it when I do it. But I know, but I'm telling you, they're not going to give you an answer. So I would like to hear your other public comment, though. So if you'd like to go ahead and do it.
You're still going to force masks on our kids?
There haven't been.
We don't.
Ms.
No one-
Ms. 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 Monaco. Ms. Monaco.
Sitting here not masked means they're still forcing our kids to wear masks in school.
Just trying to comment a little.
It's not fair.
Ma'am, take a deep breath. We're here to listen to what you have to say. We have to keep order. If there's not going to be order, I will call security and politely have you ushered out. Now, relax. It's not a question and answer. We're here to listen. We cannot answer it. As much as we maybe would like to, we can't answer it at this time. State your questions to us. We'll take everything into consideration. Take a deep breath and relax, and we're here to listen. Okay? It's not a Q&A.
You're still going to get the money, so why are our kids still being forced to wear masks?
Ma'am, we don't know what's going. Ma'am.
I know there's other people here that feel this way.
That's okay, but you getting upset and screaming at us is not resolving the problem.
But it's up to you guys.
We don't
You guys.
we don't have an answer for you now. We don't know what's.
Is there a why you're still forcing our kids to wear masks in school?
First of all, school's over.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am.
Heather Brophy?
Hi, my name's Heather Brophy. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, I wasn't going to initially speak because my friend Stacy was going to handle everything, but I see she's very upset. So I understand that there's no question and answers here, but we're here today to discuss the fact that our kids will not be masked in the fall. It's not happening. My kid who has an IEP, okay, he's been out of school for over a year and a half. If it wasn't for my aunt who worked from home, God bless her, who got my kid to get A's and B's, he probably would not have, okay, because he has an IEP and it's a struggle for him to begin with, all right? So come the fall, he will not be masked. He will not go to school with a mask. We are asking you, as the district that we implode to do your job, basically, and that we have elected here, to please take that into consideration. The governor is not in question here anymore because his power and his reign is over in this state. Mask mandates are over in this state. COVID is gone. So therefore, a mask needs to be gone as well on my child. That's number one. Number two, my kid will not be vaccinated. You may be vaccinated with that jab and you want to take that deadly poison bioweapon, that's your choice. But my kid, he's got a choice too. I'm his mother. I speak for him. No state and no government and no school district is going to vaccinate my kid. Not happening, okay? Number three, you're not going to teach that critical race theory nonsense in this district, okay, and try and teach kids that they need to hate other people and they need to hate themselves for who they are. That's not going to happen in this district either. It's not. I'm not going to tolerate it. You're not going to teach it through emotional, social nonsense or any of that shenanigans either. So now I yield back. That's all I have to say. You have a good evening.
Nicole Tepper? Teeper? Nicole?
Hi, sorry, it's a little hard to hear.
That's okay.
Hi, I'm Nicole. This is a swim parent and one of my employees they were the ones you guys denied the cards. So if it's okay, I'm gonna split my 3 minutes with them.
No, ma'am, it's just 3 minutes are for you, for your comment. So you can make your public comment.
Do you guys want to stay in here with me or?
Yeah, I can stay here.
Okay. Well, I'm here because I'm the assistant aquatic coordinator. I work under Kelly. I just want to say that I grew up in Bensalem. I did the swim programs that we run. My siblings have done the swim programs that we run. It gave me the opportunity to have a job through high school and college. And then when I branched out and worked other places, it came full circle, and now I'm working in this program again for the community. I came in here previously talking about how important it is for these swim lessons, and not only our swim lessons, but our swim teams. Sorry, this mask. When you cut down to one pool, you are now limiting the things that we can do in these pools. So you won't have as many swim teams for kids to move forward and have those passions. You won't have as much time for us to conduct our swim lessons, and therefore we won't be able to have such big capacities. Kelly mentioned about lane lines. It's going to be difficult to try to figure out how to break down the lane lines and put them back for the next days or the event after us. And that's going to cut into the instructional time that we have with these kids. I mentioned before, we have had deaths in my graduating class, let alone others, from people drowning in our local creeks, rivers, those things. In 2013, we had two boys drown that were close to me and Kelly, and I just want you to think about that. Think about that. These are our kids. They were graduating high school that year, and because they couldn't swim, they're no longer with us. I'm so passionate about this. I get, my voice shakes because I am emotional, and I won't lie to you. But I take this very seriously, and I think you as board members should too. I think you should think about this because this affects so many people. I seen the petition, and I think we're up to 1,400 and change. That's how many people feel passionate enough to say, hey, don't close Schaefer. We need this pool. Unfortunately, you won't let my friends here speak, but her daughter takes our swim lessons. He works with us and teaches those kids. So that's why they're here.
Thank you. Gage Verchecki?
My name is Gage Verrecchia, 709 Birch Avenue.
I'm Ryan Odra, 1733 Aiken Court.
Who's on the car?
We're both Ben Salem.
Ages.
Gage, it's your public comment,
I'm
so make your
Gage.
comment for 3 minutes.
Yeah. All right,
Just give
so
my name.
so anyway, we are both Ben Salem Aquatic employees, former, however you want to put it. We've pretty much seen hundreds, if not close to maybe a couple thousand kids come through our program. Many of them come through scared, terrified, traumatized of the water, however you want to put it. In a way, we've actually helped these kids. We've taught them character, how to swim, how to conquer their fears, how to go ahead, chase a goal, and follow through it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the whole reason of basically the ground rules of what Ben Salem School District builds on? To go ahead, bring every child along for the ride, make sure nobody gets left behind. But if you close these pools, or if you want to cancel programs, or however you want to put it, you're leaving them behind. You're leaving them, ironically enough, to drown. Even me myself, before I started working for the Ben Salem Aquatics program, I thought it was just a lifeguarding job. I didn't think much of it. Once I realized that I was going to be working with kids, it changed me for the better. It helped me. It taught me patience, character, how to be able to communicate better with people. Because these kids need us. We also need to bring them up and teach them the life skills that maybe half of you know, maybe half of you don't know. But these are our own kids. This is our future of our county. And it sounds crazy, but this is basically the building blocks that they need for life. If they don't know how to do something and we take away the opportunity for them to learn about it, what are they going to do? I know most of you might not have an answer to that. Maybe you do. But at the same time, nobody else knows. We're constantly trying to figure out what we're going to do if we go ahead and take away these pools. It causes problems. It causes financial issues. It causes timing issues for other programs that run through our pools. But at the same time, we run adult and child programs. We help them both. We teach them these life skills that they are not fortunate enough to have. Not everybody can go in their backyard and swim in their pool with some floaties and have a grand old time. These kids come to us, good Lord. These kids come to us, ask for our help, and we give it to them to the best that we can. And they're always coming back, happier than the time before, because they build a bond. They're learning and they're having fun at the same time. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cassandra, I'm sorry, I can't. Oh,
Yeah, Cassandra Jorna.
okay. All right, I couldn't read your last name. Thank you.
Sorry, there wasn't a form. So
That's all right, no problem.
All right, let me just. Okay. Yeah. So, my name's Cassandra Jorno. My twins are students in Ben Salem. I'm here to ask the board what's going on with the masks for next year. I know you can't answer, but I just hope we find out whenever we do, hopefully soon. I've been lucky enough to be in a situation where I could bring my kids with me all day, so I was able to keep my kids remote this whole time. There's no way I could stand to send my kids to school having to wear a mask all day after seeing how it made them feel. I know how I felt, and I wasn't making them go through that every day. They've missed out on so much, being with friends, doing fun school stuff, getting to know their teachers face to face, and learning the way they're supposed to learn. My kids have been straight A and B students since day one in school. This year they got a couple C's. That really upset them. I don't want them to lose their confidence or feel down on themselves. This isn't how they're supposed to learn. Now that everyone that wanted to get a vaccine has been able to, it's time to get these kids back to a normal year. They've adapted and have done things none of us parents have ever had to go through, just to attend school in some way they could. I want my kids back in school next year. They have gone through this whole thing pretty normal. My fiance owns a gym. We've had 75,000 check-ins. Masks are not even, 99% of people don't wear masks. The staff doesn't wear masks. My kids are there every day. There is no sicknesses traced back to our gym at all. They've been pretty normal. That's it. Everywhere we go, no masks, they're fine. I teach my kids to listen and do what they're told and know the rules are made for their own safety. I want them to trust that that is true. I also want them to think for themselves and know if something feels unsafe or wrong, they need to speak up and stand up for themselves, even if it's to an adult. We can't teach our kids to just trust anyone and obey everyone. Our kids are going to lose any trust they have in the school and their teachers when the rules they are making don't feel safe or make sense. They will see through it when things don't add up. To be told to pull up their masks over and over, sitting alone at their desk, but magically at lunch it's okay to take them off as safe, makes no sense. A child going all summer not needing a mask anywhere, then told they're going to need to put one on next year, won't make sense either. I'm not going back and forth arguing dangers of masks and my feelings on them. I'm not here to change other parents' minds. It's your choice how you raise your children. Just like it's mandatory in PA to have your kids vaccinated, but there's a way to get an exemption for that too, because that's why those parents have that choice. I want that same choice. Please make masks optional next year. If a parent wants their kids to still wear one, we're not taking them away. They can do that, but let us be parents and let us choose what's safe for our kids.
Thank you. Mr. Palladoro?
John Polidoro, Portside Drive, Bensalem, Pennsylvania. I'll keep this quick. First of all, Mr. Bucci, thank you. Something occurred to me while Mr. Bucci was explaining about his paying school taxes. He has 4 children in the parochial schools. That's money that the school district saves by not funding those 4 children. So you apply that to every parochial school kid, and that really does help. So when we're talking about budget and the community and a community-used pool, that factors in. That's really important. One of the reasons I'm here, of course, is for the pool, as you guys already know. I have several objections to the breakdown of the cost of the pool. I know they were generalized by Mr. Steffi, who we had a meeting. I disagree with quite a few of them. I am going to send in a public right to know, requesting itemized details of every line item that he put in there. For example, the lifeguard salaries and benefits. The lifeguards don't get benefits, but that's irrelevant. The salaries, whatever they are. And then under that, the next line item is for the coordinators. There's assistant coordinators that are grouped in with the lifeguards at this point, but there's no coordinator at the pool any longer. Dan Szymanski was the coordinator. He's no longer with the system. You're using 2018, 2019 data. Absolutely wrong. This board approved rental increases. Mr. Steffi did include that for the rates for rental. Dan Szymanski increased the cost of the swim lessons program by 35%. So they were making about $90,000. That number goes up 35% because of Mr. Szymanski's conversation with the board based on a meeting you had that stated the pool, removing the Schaefer pool would cost $50,000. Now it's triple figures. A few weeks ago it was $250,000. Now it's probably somewhere in the 150s. Let's itemize that. Let us all see what the details are because there's a lot of flaws in there. I have numbers. I could pass them out tonight. You can look at them. We can compare them. I'm not looking to challenge everything. I'm just looking to clarify everything we're using because if we're going to make a decision based on dollars and cents and hurt the community, I'm going to keep coming back. That's not fair. Okay, so itemize the list. Let us all see where it is. Don't just give us a line item. In addition, by closing that pool, if we're talking about money, bringing the swim lessons program over, we'll include another lifeguard for an 8-lane pool. That's 2 lifeguards for that pool. There's another $10,000. Removing the Northeast Swim Club, a rental, there's $35,000. And then removing the Holy Ghost Nazareth, there's another $30,000. So we're talking $75,000 differential.
Thank you. At this time, we'll close public comment. Thank you, everyone, for speaking.
Madam President?
Yes.
May I please just make one statement? I'll make it brief.
Sure.
Okay. I just wanted to say, as someone who chairs the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion committee, one of the things that I really appreciate about Ben Salem is not just the diversity in color, religion, it's also the diversity in opinions. I value the difference in opinions regardless if we believe the same things or not. One of the things that I am going to ask of this board, because I do recognize that this is not the time for Q&A, is that we do create some sort of forum for our community to be able to have their questions answered. I think it would avoid a lot of some of the concern and feelings of being shunned out, overwhelmingness that we experience a lot of the times at our meetings. So, you know, I know that there have been talks in the past about creating community roundtables. I think we need to make that something that happens more often and frequently, because our community has to have some of their questions answered, and it doesn't appear as though those things are getting answered. So I am going to implore this board to create some sort of community forum where our community can come, not at a board meeting, but at a different and separate time where they can get their questions answered, because I do think that that contributes to the transparency on this board. And that has been a continuous point of feedback from our constituents, that we need better communication and more transparency. So I will say my part as a board member, that is my commitment to you all, is that I am going to try and push that, because regardless if I agree with your opinion or not, it does deserve to be heard. So I do hear you.
Yeah, Ms.
Thanks, Vanessa. I just want to say that I'm pretty sure that prior to COVID hitting, we made an arrangement and we all discussed having a quarterly meet and greet.
I was
And
just
think
about to address that.
To address any major concerns in the community, such as what we're talking about tonight. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and I am certain that you have full commitment from this board in order to make that happen going forward, because we can gather now. So
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You did make that arrangement. I do remember the quarterly meetings coming.
So to that end, Mrs. Nicholas and I were just talking. I'm the chair of the Public Relations and Community Outreach Committee. We have been trying to do things, but we haven't been given permission to do a lot. However, I'm going to go ahead and make the commitment. The Public Relations and Outreach Committee, our next meeting is August. Mrs. Harder, Mrs. Fye, help me. August
10th at 7
Is August 10th? 10th? No, it's the third Wednesday of August.
The 18th?
Okay. It's on the district calendar, okay? The next, and it's Public Relations and Community Outreach. So what I will do, and I often do this anyway, I will turn the next meeting into a forum for questions and answers. Now, there are 3 board members who sit on that committee, but you can't come and yell at us too much, okay?
But all board
Please.
members are welcome.
But I was getting there. All board members are welcome. They can come. The 3 on the committee are myself, Ms. Woods, and Mrs. Nicholas. No, Mrs. Benitez this year, sorry. Mrs. Nicholas was last year. All right. So I will turn it into that, and we'll have to get, we could get permission to hold it. We could look for the change locate. We'll put a location. Maybe we do it at the Audion. Okay.
I am gonna August 18th at 6:30 p.m. just to
Thank you.
confirm.
And we'd have to, Mrs. Harder's giving me the eye because we'd have to publish she always, whenever I make changes on her, we'd have to publish maybe the location change, but just look at the district calendar. Okay? Okay, so we'll have to make arrangements, all right?
One thing that I would like to say briefly, though, is when we do go ahead and implement some of these quarterly meetings, it's really important for you all to show up. A lot of the times we have these forums and these Q&As, and there's only like 3 or 4 people that show up. And so it gets really discouraging as a board member when you're offering the public an opportunity to come and get their concerns heard and answered, and nobody shows up. It's frustrating for us, and now it's frustrating for you because when you come here, this isn't the space to be able to do that. So I really am going to encourage you, when we do make this happen, I really need you guys to show up, because that's how we keep it going, and that's how it becomes fruitful. So please, please, please come to these meetings. We will publicize it. We will do our best to get it out to everyone, but please make sure you're showing up.
And I did want to say, all of our meetings are taped. So for everyone I'm going to say something else later about the pool, but for everyone who is asking about some details about the pool, the last business meeting, which was somebody help me, June 10th? June 10th, maybe. It's the second Wednesday of the month. There was a lot of the 9th. Thank you, everyone. There was a lot of discussion in detail about the pool. And so it helps kind of lay the groundwork so I think it went around, after that meeting, it went around the community that there was going to be a vote tonight on whether to open or close the pool. And as you can see, there is no such vote on the agenda. There's a line item, but, and I guess I'm going to ask for that to be pulled out of the consent agenda so I can make that amended motion so we can because I know a lot of people are also watching out there, so we can talk about that a little bit. But generally, I want to encourage people, those committee meetings they're kind of hard to come out to maybe. A lot of information, lots of things that have been discussed tonight are in those meetings, and it's helpful to watch and kind of to get the details to catch everybody up to speed, like what happened with the pipes, right, at BHS, and oh my goodness, and all those things that probably help inform everyone. Okay.
We done with our comments, board members? Okay, that's okay.
She's just. I think there's also might be a mistake on K1 that it did not occur to me until I got here.
Let's take one at a time. Which one was removed from business affairs?
I'm requesting that M4.
It's M14.
It's M14.
So it'll be M1 through 13 and 15 through 17.
Yeah, if you guys remember last night, I said I couldn't get into the agenda, so I didn't realize
I'm
M14
sorry, Mrs.
was
Harder.
in there.
Can you repeat that?
M1 through 13 and 15 through 17.
And then
14 is going to be a separate.
And I'm not sure K1, there was discussion is coming in through policy, but there was discussion about K1 at business, and the two committees may not have discussed. I'm not sure if it's time to vote on K1 because it has the chart and everything. Yeah, thank you. Right, yeah. Oh, what was that, Dr. Lee? Push your button. Dr. Lee said, good catch, Mrs. Fernandez. Thank you. Yeah, so we should probably take K1. Just K1 should come out because it's not quite ready. Right, for the public policy, right, Mrs. Nicholas is right. Policy was Tuesday and business was Wednesday, and there was a problem caught with the policy on Wednesday, so it probably didn't get communicated back.
It looks right.
Thank you, Mrs. Harder. I think it worked. Thank you. Thank you, audience, for your patience. We're going to move in, we're going to move into the consent agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the following consent agenda items. Secretary minutes, items G 1 through 7. Treasurer's report, item H1. School board policy items K 2 through 4. Instructional affair items L 1 through 12. Business affair items M 1 through 13 and 15 through 17. And personnel items N1 and 4 through 11.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
I don't have a question. I have a comment, though. So I'm going to pull Stephanie here. So M13 is on the consent agenda. I clearly wasn't in agreement with that, so it got up. I think we're making a huge mistake by appointing that company, and I believe it's going to cost the district way more than necessary. No, I mean, it's there. It got put out of committee, so if everybody else knows what it is, we're good. I'm just, for the public and for the record, that I believe it's a mistake. A huge mistake.
Wait a minute. What? We need to pull that out, because, okay. Yeah.
While she's doing that, can you elaborate?
I don't even think this is the one that's supposed to be in. We should pull that out and look at that.
Site Logic is the one that's supposed to be pulled in. There were two. There were two. Site Logic is the correct one.
This is the one that made it through committee.
Yeah.
What was the? There were only two.
Yeah, there were only two, and this is the one that made it through committee, which is the appropriate one to be on the agenda here for a vote. I'm just
correct
expressing my opinion to the public.
I thought
that
there was
I believe
a
it's a
different
huge mistake.
recommendation. Can we just pull it out and we'll discuss it appropriately? Because I thought there was a different recommendation from our business manager.
Right.
Still an action item.
No?
No, that's not correct. This was the one.
All right. Well, if somebody has, it should
So-
come out.
So you're pulling M13? Thank you, Mrs. Harder, for your patience. I'm sorry that this is happening. Well, it just,
So you need a motion to pull it from the consent agenda?
Mrs. Harder's just pulled it. But it makes it when we're sitting here at the board meeting, it makes it very hard for her. If we know this prior to the meeting, it would be much easier. So let me refresh my screen, please.
I just might as well just do it from the top.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the following consent agenda items. Secretary minutes, items G 1 through 7. Treasurer report, items H1. school board policy items K 2 through 4, instructional affair items L 1 through 12, business affair items M 1 through 12 and 15 through 17, personnel items N1 and 4 through 11.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Against, abstention.
Dr. Lee, would you clarify, it was clarified in the business meeting, we're approving prices for the meals, but I believe you told the board that meals are, however, are still going to be free for everyone next year. I don't want the public to be confused.
That's correct.
So anyone who's listening, all the children will be able to receive, as far as we know, free meals. And Mr. Steffi, our business manager, is shaking his head that all children will receive free meals at the schools next year, just as a regular course of business.
It's one of those lovely housekeeping things that they make us do, even though it serves no purpose whatsoever. And by they, I mean the state, not Mr. Steffi. Just
It was better the first time.
At this time,
Ryan Cohen made us do it.
At this time, we'll move on to the solicitor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, my name is Peter Ramuso, and I was appointed last month as solicitor. I'm very happy to be here. I'm here with my colleague Samantha Newell, and I'm a former school board member, and Samantha is a certified elementary school teacher and special education teacher, in addition to being a very talented attorney. So we're happy to bring our expertise here to Bensalem. I have 2 items on my report tonight. The first is the release and a last chance agreement for an employee E. And this is simply a motion to approve this release and last chance agreement with this employee. Obviously, any questions you would have about this would be need to have an executive session now. In addition, we have our standard MOU between the Bensalem Township Department of Public Safety and the Bensalem Township School District. This is a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Department of Public Safety and the school district for the school years 2021 to 2022 and 2022 to 2023. These are standard agreements that are just required to be in place. And that concludes my very first Bensalem School District Solicitor's Report.
So we'll take one motion at a time here. The first one that Mr. Amuso spoke about is the motion to approve release and last chance agreement for employee E.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm nay.
The next item was to approve the memorandum of understanding between Bensalem Township Department of Public Safety and Bensalem Township School District for the school years 2021, 2022, and 2022 and 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstentions. At this time, we'll move into our reports. The student school board reports. Our student school board members are not here, so we will move into our standing committee reports. The first one is Instructional Affairs Committee. Mrs. Nicholas?
The report is posted on board docs.
Thank you. Business Affairs Committee, Ms. Woods?
Please see report listed in board docs.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Ms. Benitez?
Please see the attachment in our agenda for the Personnel Committee report.
And Policy, Mrs. Nicholas?
We did not meet this month, which is why it's even green. Okay.
Thank you. We'll move into our liaison committee reports. The Bucks County Technical High School Joint Board Committee, Ms. Nicholas.
That meets on Monday.
Thank you. The Bucks County Technical High School Authority, there's no formal report. The Bucks County IU 22 Joint Board Committee, I believe there's no formal report.
There,
Oh,
she did post all the reports are listed in the agenda.
okay, thank you. The Bucks County IU Legislative Committee, I am guessing that that is also posted. The Ben Salem High School Hall of Fame Committee, there is no formal report. The Chartered School Committee, Ms. Nicholas.
There is no report. Our next meeting will be on August 5th at 6 p.m.
Thank you. The Co-Curricular Advisory Council, there is no formal report. However, they are having a golf outing on Saturday at Ben Salem Country Club starting at 1. The Community Outreach and Public Relations Committee.
We had a very, very brief meeting this month, so I didn't submit a formal report. However, last night I chatted briefly with Dr. Lee. PR committee members have contacted me, and they would like help put together. Our 6th graders and our 8th graders did not have the opportunity to personally tour their new schools, the kids going to middle school, the kids going to high school. So I talked to Dr. Lee. We're hoping to put something together so the kids can see the schools, open them up to the communities. And I guess, well, I was about to say, I don't look at Mr. Bowman for that anymore, Dr. Velasquez. I'll be calling on you so we can help organize this. Some of the, Schaefer already has a date for new students anyway, new to the district. So we're hoping to piggyback off of that. And then Dr. Lee invited me to chat with him about this next week. So all I want to tell the community is that opportunity may arise. So please keep an eye on your school calendar on the website. Look there and other places. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to help our kids feel more comfortable with their new situation and let the community see what we got going on.
Thank you. Diversity and Inclusion Committee, Ms. Woods.
We did not meet this month. We were celebrating our awesome high school graduates, so that meeting was canceled, but we will resume our meetings starting in August.
Thank you. the Wellness Committee, Mr. Cohen.
There's no report. We're not meeting yet until
Thank
next
you.
year.
The Ben Salem Education Foundation Committee, Mr. Cohen.
Yes, we met yesterday. A lot of stuff going on. We worked on our EIT donations. We are, purchasing a lot of equipment for OTN and the studio and most of the stuff in the auditorium. A lot of the audio is purchased through us through our EITC program. Let's see. We also have the Owl Walk. We want to thank John Matthew and his team for doing an amazing job. If you look at the high school outside where the flagpole is, it's just amazing. And bricks are on sale now, so please see me or any members of our Ben Salem Education Foundation. First Mondays will be starting again next year. We're looking forward to starting that great program. That program brings in about $6,000 to $7,000 to the school district. I also want to thank Rosemary Bicella, who was on our board, a former super teacher who was on our board as our secretary for many years, and she's going to be stepping down. And we've got another superstar, Jess Odie, is going to take over. So
nice.
So get your owls walk bricks. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the Kids Education Foundation, Ms. Snyder.
I believe Mr. Cohen has that report for us.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Sure. So we had a brief meeting with Mr. Douglas, and he has increased the amounts this coming for next year from $500 to $750 for the awards. And so he's looking forward to getting a lot of those back from teachers and whatnot to see how many we can do this year. Because obviously last year with COVID or whatnot, many of the grants that were provided, teachers really never cashed them in, if you will, because they obviously had to stop mid-year. So he's looking forward to that and raising some more funds.
Thank you. Ben Salem Township Council School Board Liaison, Ms. Benitez.
I don't have a formal report, but I would like to recognize two of our students, Pooja Saha and Brianna Shannon, who were recognized by Building a Better Bensalem Together with our first annual SHINE Award. SHINE stands for selflessness, honesty, integrity, nobility, and empathy. These two young ladies were nominated by their teachers and coaches to receive our first annual award, and each received a $1,000 scholarship. Congratulations to them, and thank you for the work that you're doing in your families and communities.
Thank you. Bensalem Township Drug and Alcohol Liaison, Mr. Cohen.
There's no report.
Thank you. We'll move on to our business items, and that would be number 13. Yes, M13. Approve proposal for Site Logic for design and construction management professional services to replace the rooftop units, chillers, and building system servicing the high school gymnasium for an amount not to exceed $81,620, subject to the district solicitor review and approval.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
Yes, so we have several. So I am going to defer to Mr. Steffi to just talk and explain to the remainder of the board who were not present at the business affairs meeting to talk about why there was why these people, Site Logic, why they were selected among the other one that we typically do work with.
And whatever information you gathered after the meeting too, please.
Sure. We had two firms in to interview before the Business Affairs Committee. It was ICS and Site Logic. We had been working with ICS for a number of projects, and they've done an outstanding job for us. The proposal that we received from ICS was extremely high, so we went out and did our due diligence and our fiduciary duty to get another proposal to present to the board, which came in at approximately 50% of the cost. First proposal we received from ICS was at $160,000. Proposal we received from Site Logic was at $81,000. ICS subsequently lowered their prices to $140,000, and subsequently again they lowered it to $114,000 or $115,000 if the district would agree to a 2-year fee arrangement based on percentage of cost. The thing that we looked at, the committee requested that we look at references and what other work Site Logic had performed. They gave us quite an extensive list. They've worked in over half the school districts in Bucks County: Council Rock, Central Bucks, Morrisville, Neshaminy, Pennsbury, Bristol Township. I spoke to Jason Harris, former school board member and current Morrisville superintendent. They did a $7 million HVAC project in Morrisville, and he could not say enough good things about Site Logic and Mr. Spar, that the project went terrifically. He wholeheartedly endorses them. I spoke to Mr. Chris Burdnick, the former business manager at Bensalem, who did a few projects, quite large projects, when he was at Centennial. Also wholeheartedly recommends them. I spoke to Mr. Bowman here, who was a school board member at Neshaminy when they worked with Site Logic, who also wholeheartedly recommends them, said they did a fantastic job, $80 million project that came under budget and on time. So they've had nothing but glowing reviews. They're still substantially less than the price that we received. Like I said, I'm very happy with Mr. Carl. He does an outstanding job. I think we have two outstanding firms. I just think the one is so much lower than the other firm, and that's the basis of the recommendation.
Eric, can you state your concerns?
My concerns with Site Logic is the group sat here and made promises that are almost undeliverable, and I haven't seen them in writing yet. And as they were speaking, they changed as they spoke. So they made promises that, they weren't going to be any change sheets. They weren't going to be this. They weren't going to be that. They made promises that are just undeliverable. And to me, it kind of killed my trust in what to believe. So I think that, yeah, they may be lower, but it's my personal belief that in the end, it's going to cost the district substantially more.
So are we able to table this until we get in writing what their commitments are?
Well, the motion does say, barring approval from the solicitor report, so I would assume that would be to proof what they submit and the promises that they delivered were accurate. I'm assuming that's what it is. I believe the language is probably going to change from what they said to, address minor changes or minor scopes that normally is the language that they use. That there was a major scope change, which will elicit an approval for a change sheet. So the language is going to be very vague and skippy. So I just think what they promise is just undeliverable.
Mr. Steffi, I have a question. Didn't ICS have a fee too, based on what maybe you can better explain that? Wasn't there something about the cost and their fee?
Well, the concern I had, and I discussed it with Mr. Carl, is the fee going forward. If we would agree to their fee arrangement going forward, they wanted a percentage of cost of the project. And my objection was, right now we're in the middle of COVID. There's supply chain shortages. If the price of a motor goes up because there is such scarcity, there's no reason for the district to pay more for a design fee because the price of a motor or price of wood goes up. There's no more additional work. So I just told them I don't agree with the percentage of cost methodology and arriving at a bill for a design job.
Did they want a 2-year agreement or something?
Well, they wanted a 2-year agreement, but the agreement was that it could be terminated at any time. But I just don't agree with a percentage of cost, especially in the environment we're in now with costs skyrocketing for shortages that you can't anticipate. I don't think a percentage of cost in this environment is beneficial to the district.
The calls that you made to other districts, did anyone say anything about change orders from SiteLogic?
No, they did say there were no change orders. And Mr. Spar, when I spoke to him about the concerns about changes, he said there only would be a change if it's a district requested change in the scope. They said all other fees would be what they've quoted, and they've never gone, this is his words at the meeting. He said they've never gone back to a customer for additional fees. I don't know if Mr. Bowman can expound on it, what his experience was, or?
This goes back to somewhere around 2005, 6, or 7, but I don't believe there was any change in fees on, it was Reynolds at the time was the name of the company, but Damian Spar was with the company. I don't believe there was any change fees at that point either.
And we did request and ask for this to be in writing, and they did agree to that. So I think that was the biggest concern, if I'm understanding correctly, Mr. Price. I don't want to put words in your mouth, is that they could come back again and ask for more money, and then the district would be on the hook for the cost. So one of the stipulations that we put in place was that we firm up what they're promising in writing, and that be reviewed by our solicitor so that we aren't on the hook for money for additional work that would require additional costs to the district.
So have we gotten that information yet, Mr. Steffi?
Yeah, they said they would agree to put that in writing, and it'd be subject to the solicitor's review and approval.
Okay, but we haven't received it yet.
Well, no, he sent me an email saying there would be no change unless it's a district requested change.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So that's all well and good, and that is my issue, because the verbiage change will be, there's been a major scope change, because to me, SiteLogic's not familiar with the project, and they're going to open a can of worms that they have no idea what they're getting into, where ICS is more familiar with the project and has already done the legwork, that their price is based on their tribal knowledge and what they already know, that it's more accurate to the services provided, that SiteLogic is offering a lower price because they don't know anything about the project. They're just bidding on a surface because they really haven't done a study. They looked at it on the surface, came out, and are guessing at what we need. But, we'll find out.
Well,
when
that
the
would
change
be
sheets
on
come.
that would be on them.
Is there an itemized report or invoice in order to show us apples to apples for these?
Well, there was a scope of work, and it's an identical word for word scope of work that's going to be provided.
So has ICS, Mr. Price said that ICS has been involved in this, have they been involved in the high school rooftop?
Well, they've been much more intimately involved in it, yes. There's no question about that.
SiteLogic hadn't seen it.
Well,
As I understood, SiteLogic made this bid without actually seeing it. Is that correct?
And they've been out since then, and they still stand by their bid.
Yeah, I'm saying, but at the time it was made, that was the concern. They did this sight unseen.
Well, that would be on them if we have something in writing, right? That they're not going to.
Well, an email isn't going to be binding there. I assume,
That would
they
be
have to
placed
do it.
into
There
the
has to be a
contract.
contract, which
Right.
may go to the language of this motion. Maybe an amendment might help.
Well, I would leave that up to our attorney.
It does already
Solicitor.
say subject to district solicitor review and approval.
So if you want to add anything to that, is my point. I understand what it means. If any board members have any further concern and wanted it to be subject to board approval, for further board approval upon review.
Right.
where
Well,
I'm
because
going.
subject to district solicitor review and approval without guidance from the board, that just, subject to district solicitor review and approval is standard language just to mean I'm going to look at the contract. But we would need to maybe give some specific direction to our solicitor regarding price and things like that. So he would know what the terms we want in it.
Well, in the past, I believe we've always had this subject to the district solicitor review and approval.
Yes, of course. So that's what I'm saying. That's standard language. So if we don't normally approve contracts and say no change orders, never this, never that. That's not which, of course, prior to my time on the board is now, comes back a little bit. So Eric, do you want to propose something?
I do believe that the language in the motion is good. I just want everybody to know that if they come back and what they did propose isn't what they promised, that we won't be moving forward with their services. I don't know if that statement needs to be included with it, that if they're not in compliance with what they promised after solicitor approval, that their services will not be accepted. I don't think
you would just state the language in the email that amend the motion to say, wait a minute, sorry, look at that.
I don't know if we
40,
need to-
right?
I
You
don't
would
know-
just say for an amount not to exceed 81,620. No, I can't draft on the fly. With no change orders. I don't know. You know what I mean? Somebody draft that for me.
Well, maybe our solicitor could draft it.
So that's what I mean. The motion needs to give him direction to draft that.
So Eric, if that was in there, would that satisfy your concern?
It would, because I'm going to hold them accountable to that. I just don't think they can deliver on those promises. Industry standard and what we have going on and what we've talked about prior to what the conditions are there. It'd be awesome if we could get that price and that's actual. I just don't believe it. His actions didn't help me believe it. His words didn't help me believe it. So I'm not from Texas, but I need to show me. So I don't know if we need to reconvene to do this. If it's in the motion, our council reviews it and he says it's good in compliance, I'm okay with moving forward with it without having to reconvene and get this thing moving, because we don't delay for the next year, because every day we wait is longer than it's going to take to get supplies. So that's my piece.
I agree. So then the verbiage just needs to confirm that. I think, with regards to ICS, the reason why I didn't want to go with them was because I felt like they were playing games, essentially. They gave us an original quote. We came back, we said we got a better offer. They dropped it, $20K? Then we went back to them again, we said best and final, and then they dropped it again. So ultimately, it's just not a good look. It doesn't look good. It doesn't seem like they're actually pricing us for the cost of the actual job, whereas these folks came in 50% less, and they're agreeing to put it in writing that they're not going to submit multiple change orders unless it's the direction of the district to do so. I just think it's the better alternative, as long as we can get that firmed up in writing, which it sounds like we can.
I know I had I don't know if it would be trusting, because the presentation they came to us with, I know the way I had put it after the meeting wasn't as nice as I'm going to put this, but they obviously didn't come out and do their homework. Yeah, Mr. Bowman's over there laughing. I don't know if he was there when I said what I said, but yeah, I still stand by what I said, but I won't repeat it. Had they given what's in front of me now, at least this looks professional. Having been through enough renovations, the thought of having no change orders, saying that also made me nervous, because that has never happened. Even if it was only one little one, there was still a change order. And the fact that they had information prior to presenting that in a normal situation they wouldn't have had, I took issue with. I know you said that the other company was aware that their information was being shared, but I just didn't sit well with me, which I know you had said, I'm just explaining, that just didn't sit well.
I said the information was shared. I didn't share their pricing. I shared the scope of work, and I asked their permission so we would have an apples to apples comparison. So the same exact scope of work was the only thing that was shared. No other information as far as pricing or anything like that was shared.
But the fact that they put that together without having stepped foot near the building just didn't sit well. But if we can guarantee that there's no change orders,
well, and
Mr. Steffi, if they come up with a change order, you're going to cover the cost, right?
I will. I mean, put it this way.
Anybody else hear
There's
that?
a difference.
She means you personally, Mr.
I
Steffi.
just want to clarify something. There's a no fee change. So that they're going to do the design, and then you're going to have a contractor come in and do the work. So a no fee is different than a no change order. So you will have a contractor come in, and once they tear something off, there could be a change order from the contractor, not from SiteLogic. SiteLogic will not change their design fee. You may have a change order from the actual HVAC installer.
But I will.
And that would be with ICS too, because they're going to have a contractor come in and do it.
Yes, but
So-
I mean, I keep on hearing no change orders. I just wanted to clarify and make
No
everybody
change
aware.
order from SiteLogic's
No
design.
change order from SiteLogic, correct?
What SiteLogic stated was that there would be no change in their price, that they would stand behind what they submitted, and that there would be zero change.
Correct.
Which means even if the contractor submits a change sheet, they're going to absorb that cost.
That's correct.
That's correct.
It is nearly impossible to run a business that way. If they're doing that, I don't know how they're doing it, but they should be out of business. So they're skirting the system somehow, or something is up. You just can't operate a business that way.
I think when you've been doing something for a lot of years, yes, there's always going to be a certain margin of error, but when you've done something for years and years and years, you pretty much know how much something is going to cost, how much a job is going to cost. Granted, again, things happen, things change, but these folks are professional. They've worked with a lot of the districts in our neighborhood. No one has, at least Mr. Steffi is saying, no one has had any complaints so far that you've heard regarding them. Is that correct?
Got nothing but glowing recommendations.
And it's half the price. So, you know, when we talk about being good stewards of tax dollars and making sure that funds are allocated appropriately, this is a good example of that. If we're getting it in writing, we have the reference checks. I don't know what more we can do.
Well, all I'm going to say is I don't want to be in a situation, Ben Salem doesn't have a good track record with being in situations where we get into a project and then something goes fluey and then we're responsible for paying for it. So
High school came in under budget. So
no, I'm
keep
not
that in
I'm not
mind.
talking about. Okay, so for an example, the rooftop units on top of the gym is what I'm talking about. Exactly. So I don't want to get in another situation like that. So if this company, SiteLogic, is saying that there will be no change order, trust me when I tell you, I will hold their feet to the fire here in the boardroom if they come before me with a change order.
But they're not saying change order, they're just saying no fee. Right.
Correct. So their fee will not change no matter what happens if if we have the contractors come out, okay, they're going to hire contractors. So if a contractor comes out and finds a mold and has to put a change order in, SiteLogic is not changing their fee for the design. If they got to go in and redesign something, they're saying that they're not going to change their fee for design, correct? Yeah. Okay. So if they come in and say, they found an issue, the contractors found an issue, and because of this issue, we got to design it this way, so we're going to charge you an extra $50,000. I will hold their feet to the fire here in this boardroom. Trust me. And it won't be pleasant. I mean, we've had issues with the high school project. We've had issues with the high school pool. We've had issues with these rooftop units.
Mr. Musso, would you say that the current motion suffices?
It does.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor,
Right.
if everybody's ready.
To vote. Okay, so there's no more questions? Does board members have any more questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against?
Nay.
Abstentions? Miss Woods, if you want to take number 14, I'm sorry, I think I overstepped my boundaries by doing number 13.
No, that's okay.
Yes.
M14, motion to approve district administration to obtain MEP design and construction management proposals for the Schaefer Middle School pool repairs and refurbishment.
So moved.
We need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on the motion?
Yeah, yes, I do have a question, and I know not all of you were here, but I was saying yesterday I couldn't get into the agenda for some reason. Someone just needs to explain this to me, because this was not discussed at business, and what does MEP stand for?
Mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
So all right, we need to be very clear and transparent with the public. We talked about how important that is. So this motion is to get proposals for how much it will be to repair and refurbish the school, but don't we already have those? Not the grouting maybe, but don't we already have those? Why are we?
You have cost estimates. You need, in writing, somebody who's going to come out and do specifications to go out to bid to be able to effectuate the repairs on the pool.
And there's a cost to this?
There's quite a cost to it.
Wait, no, there's a cost to getting a proposal?
There's no cost to getting a proposal, but, I mean, it's going to take effort on somebody to come out and go through all this. I mean, I'm not going to just go out and say, can I get a proposal from you? There's time and effort from each company that comes out and puts together a proposal to do this work. It is a big job. This is the design fee will be.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Is this a motion to approve a design fee? What
No,
is this?
This is directing us to go out to Wallover Architects, to go to ICS. We want a proposal in writing to do the design specs, the contract administration, the construction management, basically what you've just approved for the high school air conditioning units.
Okay.
So that's the first step in getting this done, is you have to get the proposals, then the board's going to review them. They're going to appoint a company to do the design specs, which is going to cost you probably in the vicinity of $50,000. Then once that's done, they're going to do the design specs. It'll be advertised. You'll get bids from contractors to come in and do the grouting, replace the rooftop unit.
Okay,
do all
okay,
that work.
okay.
You
What
asked
I'm
me
not
for-
understanding is, at the business meeting, there was a lot of discussion, public comment. The public asked, and I think it's a reasonable ask, for this board to just say, either we're interested in fixing the pool or we're not. Now, that's not what this is. This is, because I want the public to understand, this is, let's go get some numbers, some specific numbers, and then we'll think about it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Wouldn't you want numbers to see what it's going to cost and what it's going to be involved before we say we're going to do something? I mean, you're the first one to say, I want to see the figures. I want to see the cost.
We've sat for, I don't know, when was that first ICS report, which was not a specific proposal, but was that 2 years ago? I'm trying to remember. Go ahead, John.
This is the step that if you say, this is basically the yes or no to move forward.
But it's misleading. All right, this is my problem with this. This is misleading because Dr. Lee did hint at this, but I think it needs to be really broken down for the public. This district, I didn't think you were.
Exactly what John said.
I want to break it down. I don't think you were intentionally being misleading, but I don't think it was plain enough to understand, because if we just approve getting some numbers, it's going to give the public the appearance that there's a majority of the board who wants to move forward as soon as possible with fixing the Schaefer pool. And those decisions haven't been made. Now, I personally am. So I am in favor of doing that, and it's no secret. But I also, when we start talking about doing refurbishments and upgrades and things like that to our middle schools, it's because I want to use the current Schaefer building as part of that kind of global project, and with our 6th grade and all of that. I think what needs to be made clear is if we vote to go get the exact numbers, right, that is not a vote that we're going to move forward with implementing them. And because we've got these other considerations, this board's going to be considering what to do with our middle school buildings, correct? So I want that clear to the public, because it's not fair. It may not, I'm not suggesting it's intentionally misleading, but it is not fair, because this is going to be interpreted as a yes vote. Let's fix the Schaefer as soon as possible, and that's not what this is. So I guess with
I don't think anyone said it was.
we at the business meeting, we talked a lot, and the community thought, if you look back at the tape, I think it would show it. The community thought we were going to get a yes or no on whether or not we want to fix the pool. But for example, if we were not going to use there. Okay,
There's a lot of
let's just get with it.
variables in
Okay,
in
listen,
this.
let's just be. I'm tired of trying to dance around here. Our middle school. I'm just going to give my opinion. Our middle schools need a makeover. Okay, we did a lovely job on the high school, and I commend everyone who was on this board at the time. They did a lovely job. My child's there. It's great. It's had problems, right? We all know, and that happens, I guess, in construction. But it's great. Our middle schools need that attention as well. There is not agreement on how that should proceed. I mean, there's all types of theories one could come up with. A mega middle school, refurbish this, refurbish that. And so they don't all include fixing the current Schaefer pool. And the reality is you have to make those other decisions first. Because as much as I personally want to see the Schaefer pool fixed ASAP, and we could use some of those CARES or ESSERS funds, the ones that permit HVAC upgrades, I would like to do that now and proceed. But the reality is that this board is going to be considering some bigger things. Now, I hope we're going to consider them promptly and start and get input on that. But I think it needs to be clear that that's what's going on. That's not an unreasonable thing, right? It just needs to be clear to the community, and it's important to be clear to the community.
So you think the people, well, it's your impression that the people who came out to the business meeting believe that this means it's going to get fixed?
Yeah, I believe that I think they believe that if we approve this, it means a majority of the board members want to proceed with fixing the Schaefer pool. We just have to see the dollars. That's what I believe it's going to be. I'm sure people have been coming up to, I've seen people in Sam's. I am sure that that's how this is going to be interpreted. It just needs to be clear there are other things going on that it may not be, because what if this board decides, a majority of this board decides they want to build a brand new mega middle school, I don't know, over on Catherine Drexel, okay? So, you know what I'm saying? Then no, the Schaefer pool, I don't care what it costs, won't be fixed, because that would be wasted dollars, right? That's my point. It is because of what's going on out in the community, what was going on at the business meeting, what I've heard since, what I've seen on Facebook, the change.org petition. You put all those things together, this is misleading and kicking the can down the lane. But if we are clear with the public that some other decisions are going to be made first, then I feel better about it. That's why I was asking, what is this? Because I think we do have a pretty good estimate.
So, well, the new owner of Catherine Drexel, no, we don't want your property.
I just picked some open field, sorry.
So this, what you just want to explain, just to put it in more concise terms, this is not saying it's going to happen. This is saying we want to see how much it's going to cost for the first steps.
Yes, this is
Which
the
would
first
be
step you would
beneficial
have
in
to
helping
take
us
with
make
the
some other
order.
decisions as well, and we're not paying anything for this. So while I agree with Mrs. Ferrandez, it is a key component in some of the considerations that we have to take in order to make some forward moves.
No matter what forward moves you make, this has to happen.
I was just going to say, as a legal matter, I mean, this is all going to have to be bid out, and so this is the information we need to have bids that we can bid. So
Exactly.
If everybody wanted to fix it tomorrow, we would still have to pass this motion. If nobody wanted to do that, but we wanted the information, we'd have to pass this motion. So it's still a critical step.
And thank you for that. I understand the legal ramifications, Mr. Musso. I mean, again, you haven't had the benefit of listening about the Schaefer pool for 2 years. The community perception is otherwise, and I'm not going to sit here and just say vote for this and let the public think that there are at least 5 board members who want to fix the Schaefer pool as it stands, because there's been no such vote.
Pretty sure what Mr. Musso was saying was for the public, so they could be informed.
And this is not directed at you, Mr. Musso, it's irrelevant because we've been talking about this. We all know this. Mr. Steffi's even shaking his head. We've had poor ICS at the business meeting. We had 2 people here telling us how much it was going to cost to fix this pool. We had 2 professionals here. So
With
we
guesstimates.
already know.
They were guesstimates.
Yeah, right. But they were in the ballpark, right? So we already know this. This is to buy time and and that's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but the community needs to know we're considering doing things with the middle school. Let's just say it. Middle schools. Let's say that. Let's be clear. So they don't think we're just monkeying around. They don't think we don't care about the children in our community learning to swim, whether they go to our district schools or whether they go to the Catholic schools. That's not what's going on. There is no agreement on how we're going to refurbish, rework our middle schools. And until there is, the Schaefer Pool is not going to be voted on to be repaired. I personally am ready to do it, but there's not consensus on that because of these other considerations. We just need to be clear.
I have said all along, that this community needs, if it can't do it with one pool, it needs 2 pools. And I'm of the opinion, and it's only my opinion, that this thing is being blown out of proportion. I think some water needs to be done and some minor repairs, and short term, that's all that's needed here. It's gotten a little bit out of control here. My concern is these people need this pool
Are you
open.
saying the cost?
Yeah.
Mr. Cohen?
Yeah, it's just gotten out of hand, Does Site Logic do work like that? I mean, they came, ICS was above that grade. I mean, it's just, I'm not bought on the whole thing. This needs to be taken care of, and if this does the administration, gives them time to get all the bids in, and let's see, we get some proposals, and maybe we'll see some better light here at the numbers.
Is this proposal required to go out to bid in order to do any repairs and reopen the pool? Or can the pool be reopened with some minor in-house? It's not possible to fill the pool.
No, even I don't think
Minor.
that.
So it would be appropriate to put the proposal, move forward with this proposal request, right? Whatever we're going to do with it, we don't know yet. And that's it. There's not an easy fix for it.
No.
We've either got to fix it or move along with other decisions that are much bigger than this one.
If I remember
that's right.
correctly, the in-house people already said they couldn't do it. They can't do this.
Well, there's a part that needs to be purchased, and Mr. Cohen and I are in agreement that we'd like to fix the pool as soon as possible, but I do disagree with you, Mr. Cohen. I think I trust the professionals enough that we really do need a big part. Forgive me, I'm not a technical person. But the motivation for getting these numbers is not because this board is hot to fix Schaefer where it sits, the Schaefer Pool. I just want that to be clear. That's the end of my question, if no one else had any.
I think part of what also needs to be clarified is I think a lot of the public is under the assumption that we already had the numbers for the pools, for the repairs. So what would be the difference in this? Mr. Steffi, can you just clarify?
Sure. The numbers that you got originally were an estimate. The numbers we just received were an estimate based on the current cost market. They basically took their original estimate and multiplied it times an additional 35%. And as you know, I mean, we get estimates from architects on projects. Sometimes they come in much higher, sometimes they come in a little lower, sometimes they come real close to what the mark is. But you don't know what the cost truly is until you go out and get the bids and actually have contractors show up. We just did a bid for installation of projectors. We had 0 people show up at the mandatory pre-bid meeting. So what do? We have 0 bidders. Right now, contractors are busy. So those estimates are, and it's very volatile right now with COVID, supply chain, very busy environment. So those bids are, I mean, they're good guesses, but I wouldn't count on them being that accurate.
For those estimates that we did receive, did those folks actually come out to our building to give us those estimates?
No, these were estimates from the engineer based on what he thought contractors would cost if we were to go out to bid. So there have been no contractors. We had ICS out to look at the project, and based on their professional experience and what the cost climate is, they assigned those values. But no, there have been no contractors out to see that, no.
I think one of the things that I'm going to request is that we put a number on it, honestly. If it is more than X amount of dollars, is it, or if it's over X amount of dollars, is it something that the board is willing to commit to? Otherwise, I feel like we're running around chasing our tails. So for instance, if the previous estimate was set at, I don't know, $400,000, and we add 40% to that number, is that something that the board is willing to consider? I think that it's...
I don't like them knowing any of the numbers.
I'm sorry?
I don't like them knowing any of the numbers. Like,
No, she means the board, Mr. Cohen.
I'm talking about the board, and I think ultimately we're talking a difference in timelines. And I think it's extremely frustrating for members of our community to not have any idea as to whether or not their clubs and organizations are going to have a space. So if it is the intention of the board to consider other options, like closing the pool, and we don't even have the consensus among us. If we say, hey, we know that it's going to be more than X amount of dollars, which we can probably presume that it is going to be because we got those estimates, 2 years ago?
We just got updated estimates like a week and a half ago.
And what did they come in as?
All in, I think they were close to 600,000.
So is that a number? Granted, it could be higher, but that's our starting place. I think, honestly, we need to decide whether or not that is something that we're willing to commit to. You know, it's been a very long time for these swimmers, and I think that they need to have some sort of direction as to whether or not they're going to have a pool. I don't think it's a matter of waiting. I think they're under the impression that it's not going to be fixed tomorrow. I think they're just wanting the feedback, at least that I've gotten and that I've read through the emails, is that they just want to know if they have a commitment from the board to be able to open the pool again.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that decision be made by us according to the direction that we take with the redoing or, upgrading of the middle schools?
That's what I was going to say.
So that's my point. That whatever the community's doing, we can hope to have some decisions on optimization. That's the word I was searching for tonight. The optimization of our middle schools. We all have a goal of moving 6th grade to our middle schools and optimizing our middle schools. Okay. So with any luck, we will make that decision sometime late summer, early fall. But that means we can get these numbers, but there won't be a decision on what's really going to happen with the existing Schaefer pool until at least that time. So maybe the numbers are then ready to go, depending on what that decision is. But the members of the community need to understand there's not going to be a decision on the Schaefer pool until
The
at
board
least that
decides
time
what they
frame.
wanna do,
And that's
which
the
way
time
to
frame.
go.
would everyone agree that's roughly the time frame we're going to commit to making those decisions late summer, early fall, before November? Can we make that commitment? No, it has not the numbers of the pools, the numbers on the pools, the commitment to make our decision what we're going to do with our middle school optimization by November. If we can do that, that's the only time frame really we can give the community on this whole pool thing. And I don't know what happens, I agree with so much of what was said tonight, just the logistical issues with putting the aquatics program at the BHS pool probably won't be ready until about November either, unless something's changed. I don't know. Do we have any updates on that? Mr. Fanini, I see you.
We did give the community a pseudo timeline at the last business meeting. So for both, actually, because of like an estimate of when, if we did repair Schaefer, when they would be back in, that it wouldn't be in the fall.
No, you're right.
So we did give them a timeline already. We just haven't solidified an answer based on our optimization.
Right. I mean, and what we said at the business meeting was BHS is looking like November-ish to be fully open, and the middle school would probably take about a year from whenever we gave the go-ahead. Right? That's your recollection too? The problem is we're not, Mr. Steffi's looking at me like, talking about getting parts, things like that. It could be a year from once we give the go-ahead, maybe less if the parts are available.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what the time frame is, and when you order a unit, how long it's going to be. Everything's being delayed right now, so it's just a guess as well,
Right.
according to what the schedules are out there.
Right, but that time frame is not starting with this motion tonight. That's what the public needs to understand, correct?
Agreed.
And that was the misunderstanding that Ms. Fernandez was talking about, is that the public is under the assumption that they were going to get some sort of direction from this board regarding whether or not the pool was to remain open. And that is not indeed the case.
That decision's being deferred until the larger optimization decisions are made.
I want to just say that I appreciate everybody coming out and sending your emails, and you have very valid points. I hear you, and for quite a few years now, this has been a topic of conversation when it comes to providing services to our taxpayers. So I want to commend you for standing up and letting your voice be heard. I personally, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I agree we should have the second pool, and whether that is renovating the current pool or doing something really, really big, and having a new pool. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I don't think anybody here is opposed to having a second pool, whatever that looks like.
I'm not so sure about that.
Most of us.
Well, that's it. And then
I'm good with that.
until you have that discussion, you don't know.
I'm good with that.
But I think that's just the thing then, right? If we have board members who are sitting here tonight that are saying they're in favor of a second pool, and that is the majority of this board, then I don't see why we wouldn't be able to provide some additional direction as to how to move forward. Right? Because I hear Mr. Cohen, Ms. Fernandez, I myself, you, Ms. Benitez, are saying that we are in favor of having a second pool in whatever capacity that looks like. So if that is indeed the case, I mean, we are in the minority.
But the problem is if it's a new pool somewhere, if there's a new pool somewhere, one of the issues that's really important for the community is time. Ms. Woods, the problem, it could be 3 years out is the problem. Nobody's listening. Ms. Woods?
No,
but because you didn't have the advantage of being here last night.
Yeah, she was because she said minority, Mr. Price said majority, and she's going through and counting. That's why we were looking at her going, it's the majority. That's what that
Right,
was.
but the community's real issue is, because if it's a new pool, right, it could be, right? That's 3 years from now. So for the community, that means 3 years without a swim team, 3 years, and that's if, not just from today, right? Because we've made the commitment to try to resolve this optimization issue by November. That's 3 years from November. If the decision should be our second pool should be a new one. So that's a very long time for this community without a second pool. So again,
And perhaps
it
that's
needs
part
to
of
be
our
clear.
decision making when we move forward with bigger conversations.
Well, I think it should be, but
I mean, there's just a lot to
are you
talk
coming on
about.
over, Ms. Benitez? Come on,
There's
sister.
a lot to talk about. I think I appreciate you making that point and getting more information and clarification out for the public. I do think though that we need to move forward with the motion. There's
okay with
really
that.
no way that we can't move forward with this motion at this point, given the conversations we're having here. So if we could call a vote, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah,
Call a vote and tell them to sharpen their pencils, and let's get this pool and up and running already.
Yeah,
Let's go to the vote.
I really don't think that anyone's against the pools. It's how we're going to move it forward. That's
That's
bottom
probably
line.
true. It's just, but the community needs to understand it. We're looking.
Yeah, it's
in any
about
scenario.
anyone
at
that
least
knows me knows that
year.
I'm all about the kids and giving the kids what they want and need.
And as somebody mentioned it tonight, our seniors.
Yes.
Who this is
Correct.
one of the things, one of the very few things
Things
that the
that they
seniors can
get.
take advantage
Correct.
of with their tax
Is their
dollars.
senior swim.
Is on the line here
Um,
without swimming.
Thank you for mentioning that, whoever made that comment.
Right. So I'm going to call the vote on item number 14. Everybody's had their questions answered. Everybody's made their comments. So all in favor? Aye. Against? Abstentions? Ms. Woods, number 18.
Motion to approve a request to waive all facility rental fees for VITA.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstention? Number 19, Ms. Woods.
It's just informational.
Thank you. That was in the consent agenda. We're going to move on to personnel. Item number 2, Ms. Benita.
Motion to approve new hires.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Against? Abstentions? Number 3, Ms. Benitez.
Motion to approve classification changes.
We need a.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Number. Oh,
May I, Madam President, please? I'm sorry to interrupt the board's proceedings, but I'd be remiss if I didn't welcome our newly appointed colleagues. Normally, they'd be here. I will make sure that you have a chance to meet them in September. So congratulations.
To our new hires, you mean?
yeah.
Correct.
Yes. So
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Number 12.
Yes. Motion to amend salary schedule for ESPA collective bargaining agreement to correct error.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstention?
you went too fast for me. Sorry. I was just going to say, to clarify for the public, I'm only voting no on this because I understand this is just to correct an error, but I want to be consistent. I'm voting no on this because I think these salaries are too low. So I don't know. So no one out there thinks that don't want people to get these wee little raises. It's just because I don't think they're big enough.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
Abstentions? Aye. I have a family member in this bargaining unit and can't vote on it. Number 13.
Motion to approve 3 memoranda of understanding with the BTEA.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Executive sessions, the board did meet last night for 2 executive sessions. One was in regards to litigation matters and one was employment and personnel matters. Upcoming board meetings, August 3rd is Instructional Affairs Committee meeting at 6 p.m. August 5th is Charter School Committee at 6 p.m. August 10th is Personnel Committee at 6 p.m. Also on August 10th is the Policy Committee at 7 p.m. August 11th is Business Facilities and Technology Committee at 6 p.m. August 18th is Public Relations and Outreach Committee at 6:30. August 19th is Diversity and Inclusion Committee at 7 p.m. And August 25th is the regular action meeting at 7:30.
Before we adjourn, can I just do a little shout out?
Sure.
I want to, for graduation this year, if you didn't notice, the JROTC had the XO and the CO up on the stage. And I just want to give a little shout out to them because that was a nice touch to have them up there in their dress uniform. And for those who weren't there, as the ROTC cadets that were graduating came up, they saluted them. So it was a neat, plus just to have them standing there. Master Sergeant Worthen and Colonel Church have been doing a great job. Some of the kids were out helping at a golf outing today. So I just want to do a shout out to them because the graduation I just thought was a great touch.
They were great too with keeping the diplomas stacked up and
Yeah, they were.
They were yes they were. They were great. They're great kids. They're great kids and they do a great job.
You know what I thought I'm such a newbie, still a newbie. I thought they always did that.
No, that was a new touch this year.
It was very
nice,
very
wasn't it? Nice touch.
Yep. Colonel Church does such a nice job.
Yeah, he does.
One more comment, if I can. I would like to commend the district and everybody that's with us for adapting to a really difficult year. It's been more than a year, really, but you did it. Congratulations. Enjoy your summer because you certainly deserve it. And Mr. Bowman and Mrs. Hanks, I'm so very grateful to have had the pleasure of working with you both. I've learned a lot from each of you. I'm really, really sad to see you both go, but I hope that you will stay in touch and I wish you well. And your respective districts are very lucky to have you. So thank you.
Please, Dr. Lee, say what you want. Go ahead. Come on. We have a few minutes.
I just want to thank everybody for a remarkable year. Your support meant everything. You've been wonderful, considerate, thoughtful in times when a lot of people weren't that. Our community needed it. They needed you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to continue the meeting to Wednesday, August 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m.
I thought we were it was July 23rd, 28th or something.
Nothing's been scheduled as far as that. We got to figure
Yeah,
it out.
what's August 11th?
We'll advertise it.
Okay, this isn't the same as whatever we need to do in July. Okay. August 11th is the Personnel Committee meeting date. Business Affairs. Okay, I'm sorry. It's one of the other committee meetings. Okay, thank you.
Am I allowed to continue now, Mrs. Fernandez?
Well, Mrs. Rivera, maybe if the board directors were informed ahead of time, because all I knew about was July.
Well, we do it was in the agenda. We all get the agenda.
As
on
I said last
Friday.
night, I couldn't get into the agenda.
For 4 days since Friday, you couldn't get into it?
I said last night I couldn't.
Okay. Motion to continue the meeting to Wednesday, August 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m. The Business Affairs Facility and Committee meeting will follow the continued regular action meeting.